Hello guys, and welcome to another video from Miss German Let's Talk. Here we dive into the wildest, funniest, and darkest Reddit stories we can find on the internet. So grab a drink, sit back, and let's get right into today's episode. So one Reddit user here is asking us, what is the scariest story you know that is 100% true? So I have no idea what is going to come up today because it could be anything. It could go down from a documentary to an urban legend to something that some of your grandfathers did, but because apparently the last videos that we've been having like some stories is always a grandfather or a cemetery or like some kind of young girl in a haunted house. So let's have a look at what is gonna happen in this episode. So first comment, I would call it creepy more than scary, but my mom's friend had a small house and lived alone. She noticed weird things: a batch of soup depleting faster than usual, missing eggs, damp towels in the hamper when she hadn't used any, extra dishes in the dishwasher, etc. This went on for months. She thought she was just being forgetful. One day she heard some thumping around in her attic and went to investigate. She found some makeshift living quarters, small radio, hot plate, sleeping bag, pillow, food wrappers, etc. She called the cops who came to keep an eye on the place. They ended up catching a homeless man climbing a tree and trying to sneak into her attic window. He had been doing this almost daily. He would wait for her to go to work, then go downstairs and help him to food and amenities. The funny part about the story is they got to know each other throughout the ordeal, and the guy was actually very respectful, just down on his luck, and she didn't press charges. Instead, let him move in, helped him get a job, and he lived in the attic until he got back on his feet. Creepy shit with a happy ending. Wow, damn. That is interesting. Like damp towels in the hamper when she hadn't used any, extra dishes in the dishwasher, and that's when she knew she found a keeper housemate. I gotta say that, like, there are people who come into your household who are being disrespectful, or like roommates who are being like just pigs, and then you have a homeless man. Okay, let's be honest. Okay, he might be coming through her window illegally, okay, but he was at least respectful, what a lot of legal people who are living with you might not be. So honestly, sometimes it's good to get to know each other. Okay, it was not the nicest move he did, obviously, to just come into a stranger's home and then just like, live there, but it is a really happy ending. I'm actually happy for both of them because she has like some company and someone who keep looking at the house, and he gets a job again and gets into his life. So that's a calling from God, I would say. Let's get to the next story. Ooh, we got a soldier story here. So, before my dad died, he once told me a story from when he was in Vietnam in the 60s. He told me about a mission where he and one another American with 5 CIDG strikers, South Vietnamese villager turned fighters, were tasked to emplace seismic ground sensors along a trail network deep in the jungle. He said they were about 2 days into the mission when he and two of the strikers split off from the main group to go watch a nearby trail intersection. He said in the jungle was pretty quiet that day, just the sound of birds and bugs and an occasional monkey. He said they had been watching the trail intersection for about 3 or 4 hours and were deciding on whether to move further down the trail or to turn back and link up with the rest of the patrol. Before leaving the cover of the brush, my dad said he checked the trail and ahead of him and one last time and prepared his men to move. Now here is where the story gets interesting, and he told this part with absolute dead seriousness. He said just as he started to step out onto the trail, he sees a light-skinned black Union cavalry soldier in full battle gear laying alongside the trail just shy of the intersection. My dad said the Union soldier had 2 pistols, a Spencer rifle, and a short curved club at his hip. As my dad was trying to process what he was seeing, the soldier looked directly at him and smiled. Then the soldier slowly placed a finger up on his lip as if he tell him to be silent, and then motioned my dad back off the trail. My dad said he signaled for his men to remain hidden, and he recalled that as he slipped back into the jungle on one side of the trail, the Union soldier did the same on his side of the trail. Less than 10 seconds later, he said the lead element of a group of NBA, North Vietnamese army soldier, walked right through the trail intersection some 30 feet away. My dad estimated that the group was comprised of some 70-80 soldiers equipped with automatic rifles, light machine guns, and rocket-propelled grenade launchers. He had no doubt that his entire team would have been whipped out on the spot. He said as soon as the enemy soldiers had passed, he and his team beat feet out of there as fast as quietly as they could and rejoined with the rest of the patrol. He reported the enemy soldier his team had encountered, but decided not to say anything about the soldier he had seen. My dad kept the secret for many years, only telling me just before he passed, and earlier only telling his grandmother on her deathbed in the 70s. He said when he told his grandmother, she smiled and without opening her eyes told him, "You saw old Red Tom." Red Tom was my great-great-grandfather. He was a half black, half Creek, probably Greek, free man who was scout for the Union Army during Civil War and later served with the U.S. Cavalry in the American West. He was known for carrying 2 pistols, a Spencer rifle, and a Creek war club into battle. Oh, sorry, then I made a mistake. He was a half black and half Creek freeman. That is one of the most interesting as opposed to horrifying stories I've ever seen in a thread, honestly. That is incredible. Whoever you are, thank you for sharing that, because from all the kind of stories that we hear from our grandfathers and grandmothers, that is such an interesting story. Like, it's actually, I'm very happy to make this episode. Like, it doesn't creep me out at all, but write me in the comments, guys, what do you think about this? It's crazy. Let's go to the next story. A female friend in college disappeared from a party at another university in a city town 25-ish miles north of our school. She had arrived with another friend who I believed had driven. At some point, she split off to play cornhole. What is cornhole? Damn. Or something, and was later inexplicably gone. Phone calls went to voicemails. Police were called, but she was simply missing. About 10 days later, she was found by a homeless man who witnessed her crawling up to a bus stop in the city begging for help. She had broken a leg and an arm and was in a very bad shape. At the quite large party, well, she went through it, girls. She had her drink secretly drugged and was then led off by a group of men into their vehicle. Oh no, it's one of those stories. She was taken to an apartment where she was drugged repeatedly, and locked in a small room in between with a bucket to use as a bathroom. At one point, after being injected with heroin and again, guys, she somehow managed to convince one of her captors to allow her to use the actual bathroom to clean herself up. This bathroom had a small window to the outside, and with a shower running, she managed to squeeze out and fell from the 3rd story into a large hedge bush. Oh gosh, the good thing is it was not concrete or something, guys. I'm actually very happy that she escaped. That and fell into a bush, because it could have been way worse. From there, she crawled from the apartment complex to the road and bus stop, where the homeless man saw her and called police. Oh, thank to that man. Many cars stopped upon seeing her, making her captive unable to recapture her. 3 men were later arrested for the crime after surveillance cameras allowed police to locate the apartment which she jumped from. She returned to our university almost 2 years later, graduated, and became a nurse. She was obviously traumatized, never partied again, carried a gun everywhere she could, and she somehow moved on with life. It was a terrifying tale. None of us ever forgot. She was an 18-year-old freshman when the incident happened. I am extremely sorry for that woman, for what happened. That is actually a very sad story, but also, like, that woman is a survivor, and props to her, because honestly, for a woman who goes through that much and got traumatized that much and then still managed to like gather information, escape, and get justice, that is incredible. It reminds me of one of those do you of those stories. I don't remember this how the film is called, but it's one of those actors from the Netflix story Ginny and Georgia, that girl with the red hair. I don't remember the actor's name. It's a thing about me. I don't remember actors' names, but I remembered faces. And the girl with the red hair, she used to play a role about getting kidnapped, and then later on it was a real story about a woman who got kidnapped in a town, and then she flee from the guy who was a serial murderer and planned to kill her. But the next morning she run for her life. She gathered information about that guy who obviously assaulted her in every single way you can possibly think. And she got to the police office, and the people there didn't believe her, but she knew every single detail about that guy because she gathered in the time she got um into being kidnapped. She gathered any single information about the guy, knew exactly where he lived and everything, and she got her justice. And now she's in a town, I don't remember, somewhere in the US, a town where she is an police officer. So those kind of women are extremely, extremely like brave, and like those are the real woman survivors, I can tell you guys. Like especially from this story that we just heard, right, with that 18-year-old freshman woman who escaped from those three monsters, and then she became a nurse. So see, almost 2 years after, when she was 20, she graduated from school, from college, and then she became a freaking nurse to help people while she had this biggest pain. So my biggest respect. And I honestly say, with this courage, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's story. I hope you learned something from today's episode and you enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more. I'll be back soon with more crazy Reddit stories. See you next time. Bye.